Hi guys, it's Jonny here at Totally Wicked HQ, and today we're going to be talking about vaping basics. Now, if you're a smoker who's considering your first steps into the world of vaping, it might seem a little bit daunting. But worry not, I'm here to run through everything you need to know about vaping basics. By the end of it, you might even be a bit of an expert. Now before we begin, don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss any of our in-depth videos where we cover every aspect of vaping and e-cigs. Let's start at the beginning. What actually is an e-cig? An e-cig is an electronic device that vaporizes e-liquid into an inhalable form. It's an alternative way to obtain your nicotine that your body is craving. Now there are many different types of e-cig, the main two being pods and refillable e-cigs. Pen style, box mods, mechanical mods, advanced pods. Let me reassure you, while there's a huge amount of choice on the market and all of these e-cigs look different, they all work in fundamentally the same way. So once you know how one works, you know roughly how they all work. Now e-cigs are made up of three main components: something to provide power, a battery; something to receive that power, an atomizer head which contains a coil and wicker material; and something to contain your e-liquid, a vape tank. Now, e-cig batteries are rechargeable and provide power to your atomizer head, or more specifically, the coil inside it. This causes the coil of wicker material inside your atomizer head, which should be saturated in e-liquid, to heat up, producing vapour, which you then inhale and exhale. Not as scary as you thought. Now, you know what an e-cig is and how it works. Let's look at how to choose your first e-cig. There are two things to remember. One, is there is no perfect e-cig for everyone. Two, vaping and smoking are not the same thing. It's easy to light up a cigarette. E-cigarettes require some light upkeep, like keeping your battery charged, making sure your e-liquid is topped up, and changing your coil. The best way to choose your first e-cig is to balance ease of use with vaping satisfaction. You should try and choose an e-cig which you can take care of easily, but as importantly, you actually enjoy vaping. And most vaping websites will have a starter kit section. These are usually chosen as they are a great balance of vaping satisfaction and simplicity. They should come with everything so you can start vaping as soon as it arrives. I recommend that you start there. E-liquid is a liquid that fuels an electronic cigarette. It consists of three parts: the nicotine solution, the flavour, and the diluent. These three components create the vapour that is exhaled to mimic the smoke that you would see if you were to smoke traditional cigarettes. Nicotine is one of the stimulants and addictive substances found in cigarettes. Remember though, nicotine is not one of the dangerous components of cigarettes. Nicotine, when used at the current strengths available, is safe to vape. The diluent performs two functions. Firstly, it is added to dilute the mixture of nicotine and flavours to the desired strength, and secondly, it provides the constituent that produces the vapour. The vapour is inhaled and transports both the flavour and nicotine from the e-cig to the vapour. Nicotine has no discernible taste. Therefore, to produce a taste in e-liquid, a flavour needs to be added. There is an infinite number of flavours that can be used. Now we know what e-liquid is. Let's look at how to choose the right e-liquid for you. Now there are two choices to make when picking your e-liquid: nicotine strength and flavour. Let's start with nicotine strength. This can be guided by the number of cigarettes you smoke a day. As a general rule, the more cigarettes you smoke, the higher your initial nicotine strength should be. The less you smoke, the lower the strength should be. But remember, this is definitely not set in stone. You might smoke 5 a day, but need the highest nicotine strength to satisfy your cravings. You might smoke 20 a day and only need the lowest strength. If possible, it's always best to go to a vape shop and try before you buy. If you don't have this option, stick to our guidelines, see how you get on with the recommended strength. Now flavour is a whole different ballgame. Let's be honest, this is one of the most enjoyable parts of vaping. And choosing a flavour can be as evolved as you want to make it. There's so much choice and the taste of e-liquids is entirely subjective, like food. It's tough to recommend an ideal flavour. What one person loves, another can't stand. Most new vapers tend to choose a tobacco or a menthol flavour, as they are familiar and can help when making the switch from cigarettes over to vaping. And once you're used to vaping, you can start to experiment with the hundreds of flavours available. So you've got your first e-cig, chosen your e-liquid, and you're about to start vaping. Before you do, let me run you through my top hints and tips for new vapers. Number 1. You'll probably cough at first. This is normal. The sensation of vaping is different from smoking. Most smokers will cough the first time they try vaping. This is usually down to inhaling like a smoker and not a vapor, which we'll cover in more detail later. Vapor also feels thicker than smoke as you inhale, and this can cause a cough from the change in sensation. There are routes to take with e-liquid choice which can combat the cough, such as nicotine salt. Just remember, any coughing is temporary and will pass within a few days of starting vaping. Number 2, you might get a dry mouth. Not only a dry mouth, but a dry nose and throat. This is also normal. As we said previously, there are 4 main ingredients in e-liquid, 3 if your e-liquid is nicotine free. Some of these ingredients are hygroscopic. This essentially means that they draw water to them away from you. The more familiar you become with vaping, the less noticeable this is. Simply drink the occasional extra glass of water when you start vaping. Number 3, there may be false starts. You're attempting to change a habit that you may have had for years. Some people will pick up an e-cig and never touch a cigarette again. Others will slowly cut down over time. The idea is, if you have 1 cig in the morning or 10 throughout the day, don't beat yourself up over it. If you're craving a cigarette, it might be that something needs adjusting, your e-liquid strength for example. Number 4, vape like a vapor, not a smoker. First mistake people usually make is attempting to vape like a smoker. When you puff harder on a cigarette, you get more smoke. This doesn't work when vaping. There is nothing already lit and burning, so your e-cig needs time to produce vapour. You have to vape like a vapour. Longer, slow and steady puffs make a world of difference. Number 5, you may get frustrated. Smokers get their nicotine hit almost instantly. Cigarettes have been tweaked over many years to ensure this happens. The nicotine hit from vaping takes slightly longer, but on the flip side, the satisfied feeling lasts longer. If you've had a vape and still feel that familiar craving, just wait a few minutes. It's difficult not to be frustrated, but you'll be surprised how quickly you adapt to this difference. Number 6, you can vape too much. Unlike a cigarette, you can keep your e-cig with you all the time, happily taking a draw whenever you feel you need it. Can you vape too much? Yes, you can. Just like you can smoke a cigarette too many, especially if you're on a higher nicotine strength. What are the side effects of vaping too much nicotine? If this does happen, you might get some mild side effects similar to smoking too much, and that pass just as quickly. Typically a headache, mild nausea or dizziness. Stop vaping and wait for these to pass. If this happens every time you vape, the chances are your nicotine strength is too high. This was our quick rundown of all the vaping basics you need to know. Are you thinking about starting vaping and need a question answering? Get in contact in the comments below and I'll see you next time.